Welcome on into the Utah Blockcast. I'm Steve Bartle, Utah insider for KSL Sports. Joined tonight by the fellas, Josh Bennett, Tyson Mall. Guys, Utah coming off the big 53-7 win. How we feeling?
Fantastic.
Football is fun.
Football's fun. Football's the best when it's fun.
We love fun football. Yeah.
Yesterday was definitely a lot of fun, and I think everybody needed that from the fans, the players, the coaches, everybody. Great to have that fun at Rice Eccles, night game. Fun.
Yeah, definitely fun. And I think it was a big one. Obviously, to have that sort of performance in front of the Rice Eccles crowd, I think was really good. I think it, to your point, Bennett, I think it was good for the fans to see that, to get to experience that sort of performance, at home and just to kind of be, I don't want to say reinvigorated, but, just kind of get a little reset. Yeah, reinvigorated. That's the word.
Because listen, this week was a rough week for Utah fans online. I saw a lot where I was just like, pump the brakes, people. The season is not over. They very realistically can go 10-2 still. Which, if you told me before the season Utah was going to go 10-2, I would have done. Let's do it.
Yep. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Bennett. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you got to take 10-2 as often and as frequently as you can. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the context behind the way that Utah lost last week. Brutal fashion. So I 100% understand the bad feelings, but that wasn't a season-ending loss, guys.
Yeah. Just to kind of get that right, and it wasn't just that it was, it was a dominant performance, but a dominant performance in 30 minutes. Like, the first half is all it took, and not even that. Like, this game was over by the end of the first quarter. It felt like, and I think just to kind of again for the fans to have that experience and to see that this team is still still bought in, still competing for a lot, right? There's a lot still left on the table for Utah to compete for and contend for, and so it was a good performance. So obviously, with a 53-7 margin, there's certainly some talking points to dive into and things to unpack and some conversations to be had based on things that we watched last night. And so, I think the most important thing is that November football suddenly regained a lot of meaning, and so I think that's going to be the big thing for Utah fans, especially with this weekend coming up with Cincinnati and ESPN College Game Day coming back to town. Just a tremendous opportunity for Utah, and I think to have that sort of performance last night was pretty significant. So let's actually go back to last night, sort of set the stage, and we're already kind of talking about it. The week that was a tough one, obviously coming off a tough rivalry loss, but I was really encouraged. We were there early, and we're walking around the tailgate lot, and all three of us were there, which was fun, and I think there was still a lot of energy, and it was good to see the fan base up there still engaged throughout the tailgate lot. I think that was really encouraging. And then to get into the stadium with the stadium, what did you guys make of just kind of the night, the setting, and the stage for Utah last night?
I mean, it was classic Utah home game football, man. Night 8:00 kick, Rice Eccles. I actually really thought that the stadium looked pretty cool on the broadcast, at least. Yeah. I will say, I think it looked a little, I don't want to say empty, but the black stripes, it makes it a little hard to see just how many people are there, that the seats are full. The black made it look a little, if it was white, it would have been a lot. It would have looked a lot, I don't know, full. It's weird to say, but that was a comment.
Yeah,
it pops a little differently when it's the white, not the black. But tailgate lot was great. It was the last one before Halloween, so all the tailgates have candy out for the kids. My little girls were dressed up in costume. We took them around trick-or-treating to everything. So, I mean, the vibes were, Cam's not here, so I'll take the vibe check. I'll be the vibe check guy, but the vibes were very high. The vibes were very high yesterday all day. And then, of course, during the game, they were at, to quote Spinal Tap, these go to 11.
Yeah, I mean, you always wonder how the fan turnout participation is going to be after a tough loss. You wonder, is this stripe the stadium thing going to work? I wouldn't say it was perfect, but the job was definitely done. It showed. You could see the red, black. Fans were loud, proud, on time, so that was good. The fans showed out, had fun all day, and then went and made a pretty good atmosphere. Fan base definitely started to leave and trickle out after the drone show. Can't blame them.
No.
You see people poking at that, like, why would you leave? And it's like, it was 43-0, and it was 10:30 p.m.
at night,
and it wasn't exactly a warm summer, fall evening. It
wasn't horrible though. It was kind of pleasant.
That was great.
It was way better than the ASU game. The ASU game,
for sure,
they're frigid, but no, it wasn't bad. So
what did we make of the drone show? I thought it was pretty dope.
I was more when they first announced, I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Like this isn't going to really move the needle, and I actually found myself to enjoy it. I was like, this is actually kind of cool. And they took like the helmet and had the drum and feather on it, and then they like rotated the helmet, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, and I liked it. I know that we're not the first person to do it. A lot of people reminding us that we're not the first to do it.
Neither are they.
Neither are they. They invented drones, apparently.
Yeah,
right?
Apparently.
But no, it's good on the fans. Got to come in, have fun, get home, and get tucked in early.
I got a chuckle out of hearing that there were some fairly loud boos during the Pepsi logo. I got a good chuckle out of that. It's like if we know one thing that Utah fans don't like, it's Pepsi products, and they will let the school know that they need to pull a Costco and move to Coke.
Ooh, man, oh man, that was quite the message. So shout out to the fan base for that one, sending the message to the powers that be, letting them know how they feel and where their allegiance lies, I should say. Man, I loved it. But yeah, no, it was great. It was a great setting, and then it was really interesting being on the field pregame because it was popping. Ben and I were down on the sideline just kind of taking it in, and ran into a couple folks, had a couple conversations, and it was there were a lot of alumni in attendance for the game. I think they had close to 100 alumni, and this is guys like Steve Smith, Steve Savoy, Paris Warren, Devontae
I saw Paris
Booker.
Warren walking around.
Yep. Devontae Booker, it was his first time back to Utah in 9 years. So a lot of guys made it back out to Utah. Daryl Mack was out there. Theo Howard, Solomon Enos, just a lot of guys that were back in attendance. It was really good to see that. And, too, there were a good number of visitors in terms of recruits. The Pula twins were up there, and they had a couple of other visitors as well. So just all in all, the pregame atmosphere was buzzing. There were a lot of good conversations. And then it was interesting as the team came on the field. I caught a couple guys with a certain look, on a certain demeanor. And Spencer Fano, Kieran Kump, those guys, they had a different look to them last night. It was a look of focus, of determination, and just, Spencer is a pretty jubilant, a little jovial, and just kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of a guy. And you would have never guessed that's who that was. Seeing him last night taking the field, warming up, it was clear that this team knew what they needed to do, and so they just had a different demeanor, different look to them, and they came out and made it clear from the jump that this was going to be their night.
Yeah, it was very much a look of all business. There wasn't much joking around. Like, it was very serious, very focused. Kind of surprised to see, how serious they came. That's what you want to see out of a team that just lost a game that you feel like you had every chance to win. They came out pissed off, and it showed from the jump. But focused that's a good thing. And another couple that we saw was Steve Smith in a hug with Ron McBride. They spent probably a good 15 minutes talking with each other, and that was really cool to see. And I was able to snap a picture of when they first embraced each other, and it's just good. Spence Eccles was in the house last night. Saw him in the elevator. It's a lot of people there for the homecoming game, and I think it was awesome for everybody to be able to see that result the way it came out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's dive into the game. Utah's 53-7 win over Colorado, and it took all of 2 plays for Utah to get on the board, with Byrd Ficklin going 63 yards for the touchdown. Tyson, could there have been a more ideal start to this game?
No. I was thinking about that too before we started recording. But in a game like this, coming off the loss last week and how it went down, and thinking that the team might have a little bit, not a letdown, but just not being quite as focused as you would want them to be. That first drive stalls out, or a 3 and out with a true freshman quarterback. Maybe the game goes a lot differently, but I mean, you score from 63 yards out on the second play of the game. That sets the tone pretty well for how the rest of the game went. That gets the guys hyped up. It gets them going. It gets them motivated. You could not have asked for a better start than a 2-play 75-yard drive, especially coming from your true freshman quarterback making that run. Not your stud running back happens. It's your true freshman quarterback. That had to have been the biggest confidence booster possible for Byrd.
Yeah, and he had a great night, and it started very quickly. Some jokes in the amongst some of the media, just saying this is gonna make for a lot of different conversations this upcoming week, and I'm sure we'll touch on that at some point here soon. But the fast start was exactly what Utah needed, and as you put it, Tyson, that set the tone for the rest of the game, because you come out, you go 3 and out, or you come out even you get a freshman mistake. Energy, the feels of the game, all that stuff can play an absolute factor, and it can swing really quick.
Yeah, really, really quick. So I think, Utah getting off to the strong start, again, just sort of spoke to them coming out with a different sort of demeanor and a different sort of aggression tonight. They played with violence, with urgency, and I think that was really good to see. And it carried into the defensive series as Colorado took the field for the first time. Utah gets a big 3 and out with Trey Reynolds just being an absolute menace, getting a tackle for loss and then a sack on 3rd down to kind of get the game started. And we're off and running. And clearly the energy levels were at a different level. The emotion, we talked so much throughout the week that Utah couldn't allow the emotions of the previous week to linger. And it was clear from the jump that they had flushed those emotions, that they were ready to go to battle against Colorado. And so, it was interesting. You get through the first quarter, Utah goes up 17-0, and Wayshawn Parker adds a touchdown, just a tremendous run, great blocking all night long. Dallin Bentley, some of the stuff they were doing with him, splitting him out wide, motioning him back in, doing some pin and pull type of stuff. He was fantastic, sort of setting the edge and allowing Utah's other linemen to get out, on pulls and getting to the second level. Some of the blocking schemes were executed beautifully, like the Wayshawn Parker run, and that cut. This is the thing with him, dude. That cut was sick. that
was disgusting.
It was filthy, dude. Oh, it was filthy. Just the sharp, joystick to the right, just boom, and he's off. Dude, he's got some speed.
He's got wheels for being a little bowling ball. Speed.
If I tried to make that cut, I'm probably like out for season. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
That was
my ankle would turn into Cam Scatterboos if I tried to do that.
Oh, come on, too soon.
Sorry,
I'm
sorry.
That was disgusting.
I'm sorry.
But yeah,
it was disgusting. Oh my gosh.
Oh. That you're not wrong though.
Why'd you bring that up, dog?
I know. I'm sorry. It's been seared into my brain all day.
Oh,
I did.
dude, yeah.
As a side note, I did see something that said Cam Scatterbo getting lost for the season on an ankle injury and not a concussion is like the crocodile hunter being taken out by a stingray and not an actual crocodile.
That's
awesome.
Brutal,
but it's so true. All right, I've got a photo here. This one's from Joel Davidson. Look at this, dude. Look at that. Just the straight leg, the dead. I had to post this because we're talking about it. Like, dude, that's totally exposing the left leg. But this is what I mean, dude. These athletes are sick. Like, my leg would snap in half if that's the sort of what I'm doing to my leg, making these cuts. But anyways, enough about that.
And he did it at like full speed too.
Yeah,
like It wasn't like he didn't start chopping his feet and then make. No, he didn't set it up. He was just a one time foot in the ground, and I'm going 45 degrees the other direction.
Just filthy.
Audible gasp in the press box from everybody when that cutback happened.
Yeah, filthy. So Utah ends the first quarter. I think it was 278 yards to -2 yards in the first quarter, and things only went downhill from there for Colorado. It was incredible to kind of follow those numbers throughout the second quarter. Utah just continuing to add yards, Colorado continuing to lose yards. I have never seen a first half stat of 398 total yards to -18. That was wild. And you know what? Go ahead, Tyson. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure you're going to take it where I think I was going to take it.
The clip of Shannon Sharp reacting to that on his podcast with Ocho Cinco.
Do I need to bring that up? I feel like I need to bring that up. Yeah, I feel like I need to bring that up.
Halftime.
Were you going to point at the last time a game was that lopsided at halftime?
Was it Colorado?
That's the last time it was. Utah was up.
It was
like 40 at halftime. But the yardage disparity, the last time that happened in college football was Utah against Stanford in 2021.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, just amazing. Just
that was a fun game too.
That was a fun game.
That Stanford game literally started booking a trip to Pasadena after that game with James.
Yeah, dude. So halftime 398 -18. I want to know what you guys were thinking watching that first half. They went up 43-0 going into halftime. Skip Bayless was calling for running up the score in the first half, something I've never seen, but should be expected from somebody like Skip Bayless, making accusations of running up the score in the first half. Are you kidding me? Shut up, Skip.
Listen.
It's the first half.
It's the first half. But do you think Witt was? Because I don't think Witt forgot last year, where Dion was still dialing up reverses for Travis Hunter when they were up by about 30.
Yeah,
I don't think Witt forgot that.
No,
I don't think Witt
he did
forgets
either.
That kind of thing. Like I don't. It kind of clicked in my head when I think it was Furlong tweeted about the post-game press conference where Witt said that Scally dialed that up, and my first thought was, why are you doing that against Colorado and not maybe against Cincinnati this next week? And then it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, you know what? I think he wanted to make it hurt against Colorado this year because of how last year went down.
Yeah, yeah. Kendra, we were talking today, and Kendra asked me, she's like, "Do you think coaches like take things personally?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? This is the most petty business in the world, dude. These guys are petty AF, dude. These
I'd be
guys
concerned.
remember
I'd be concerned
everything.
if my head coach didn't take things personally.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Because like, look at every single. Look at Michael Jordan. The reason he was as good as he was is because he was petty. Is because he took stuff personally that wasn't personal in the slightest.
yeah,
You get like guys who become great are the ones who take the smallest little tiny thing and turn it into a mountain of motivation. Like that's how you be great. Like most great athletes are complete psychopaths. It's a fact.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Without a doubt.
I respect it. Just a lot of respect.
I love it. I love it. So Utah goes into the half up 43-0. What did you make of some of the decisions? I shouldn't say some of the decisions, but how good was it to see Dylan Curtis connect on a few field goals?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Especially a 53-yarder.
Dude, that 53-yarder still had plenty of heat on it.
Yeah, it was necessary, like in a word. It was necessary to see that. When Dylan doesn't get the chance last week, on 3 different occasions, it can be real easy for the kicker to lose confidence, overthink things, and kicking it's a mental game, right? So to see him come out and nail the 3 and the 59-yarder, like, you can't really get upset for him missing that, but that's a field goal that he can absolutely hit. It got a little stuck in the wind, and you could see his reaction when I watched that back. You could see his reaction. It's like he was disappointed in himself, but like it's a 59-yarder. Like
Yeah.
I like that they trotted him out there for that. I
Me
thought
too.
that was cool.
Yeah, no, I think that was great. So let me ask you guys this. There were a couple of big plays. We've already talked about a couple of them, but I want to get your thoughts on which one you thought was maybe the most impactful in the game. So first, obviously, the Byrd Ficklin touchdown to open up the game, right? That sort of set the tone. I would say the next one, the safety, the Jonathan Hall, Trey Reynolds getting in on the end zone, safety, getting that early on, getting that on the board. I thought that was pretty significant. Obviously, the punt block by Jackson Benny, Coach Whittingham has talked about it time and time again that when you block a punt, you have a really high rate, really good chance at getting a win. It's some like absurd number. I'm not doing it justice because it really is like when you get a block punt, it's a really good correlation to winning. So there's that. And then also we'll go, I don't know which touchdown reception was bigger, J.J. Buchanan or Larry Simmons, but take your pick, either one of those. And I'll take D, any other option that you guys suggest. So which one of those do you guys feel was the biggest, maybe most impactful play of the game? Play of the half. Play of the half.
I think we already talked about it. I think it's Bird's touchdown run. Just strictly because how tone setting it was for not even just for the offense, but for the entire team. Even as a defender, when you have something like that happen, like that just hypes you up. Like your offense going out there and scoring in 2 plays, you're like, all right, our turn, type of thing. So, and they did take their turn multiple times in the entire half. So, I think it's that one. I like the Larry Simmons one. For the reason of being maybe a little bit more impactful for the rest of the season. Not necessarily just for that game, but I think this was that was a bit of a Larry Simmons being like, I'm the guy that should be the guy. Like I'm wide receiver 1 type deal. We know Ryan Davis is wide receiver 1, but he doesn't get treated like it. At least by the staff and everything, or it doesn't. Maybe he does, but everybody thinks wide receiver 1 on Utah is Tobias Merriweather, and I think Larry Simmons was the guy saying, "Nah, it's me." And I think that needs to be something that they look for going forward, even when Merriweather's back.
Yeah. I'll go different, but I want to make very clear, like that was the play that set the tone for the rest of the game and helped the end result become what it was. One that was really important to me was the touchdown pass to JJ Buchanan. Just when watching that, both you and I, Bartle, were like, he's got the swing route right there. Just dump to the running back. He's probably got 5-10 yards, and Byrd just held on a little bit longer, let the defender commit to the swing route, and then floated it right over to JJ Buchanan, and Buchanan took it in for a 22-yard touchdown, something like that, and bullied somebody. So I thought that was really good, and showed some of that patience, maturity, decision-making, ability to read like in real time what the defense is going to do and kind of manipulate some of that. And I thought that was really big for a true freshman quarterback to find that extra something.
I'm going to vote that Larry Simmons touchdown reception because of partly of what you pointed out, Tyson, that I think it can parlay into potentially greater success moving forward for him and the passing attack. But two, keep in mind, he had another big reception on that very same possession a couple plays before that converted a 3rd and 12 with another toe tap catch for, I think it was 17 or 19 yards. And so just the consistency that we're starting to see with him in terms of his ability to catch and haul in passes is something that this passing game desperately needs. They have those guys in Ryan Davis and in Dallin Bentley, but nobody has really been able to emerge because obviously Tobias Merriweather has been, he's been targeted, but hasn't been able to haul in those receptions. Larry Simmons is now kind of capitalized on these opportunities, and I think that can be really big for him moving forward. So I think the Byrd Ficklin, though, that one obviously set the tone for the game, and so I think that's an important segue here to get into this next conversation. Byrd Ficklin, unless you guys have anything else, we'll talk some other things. But anything else before we dive into Byrd Ficklin and the quarterback situation?
No, let's do it.
Are we going to have a chance to talk about Wayshawn a little bit?
Oh yeah. We'll talk Wayshawn.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk Wayshawn. Byrd Ficklin finished with 151 yards on the ground, 140 through the air, 3 total touchdowns, and was only 10 of 22 throwing the ball. But he started the game. I believe it was. What was it, like 1 of 7, 0 of 7? 1 of 7.
1 of 8. Yeah,
it was 1 of 7, and then he finally kind of got into a rhythm, and I think showed some things. I think watching him live, it felt like they were bigger plays, but then going back and looking at some of the numbers, it felt like he was really pushing the ball down the field. When in actuality, it was just more of the intermediate, attacking that and hitting some of that. But still, it felt like he was making throws that were really, really impressive regardless. So, that. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on just how he looked, how he performed. Just what did you make of Byrd Ficklin in his first start in a Utah uniform?
You can't get mad at 300 all-purpose yards and
291. Yep.
Yeah, and 3 touchdowns. Like, you can find stuff. You can find stuff to nitpick, and I'm fine with that. But you can't be like, you're not gonna be disappointed with that. I know Colorado's not the best team, but we know he can run. We saw it. We've seen it all season, and we obviously saw it a lot last night. But as a passer, I think we need anybody who's like saying that Utah needs to have a quarterback conversation of going forward the rest of the season. Just don't stop. Devin Dampier is still the better passer, even if you want to call him a limited passer. But I think watching this game gets you really, really excited for how Byrd Ficklin is going to be going forward, because if he can clean up a little bit of the passing and, refine it and make some of the passes that he was missing last night, God, he's going to be good.
Yeah, agreed. Bennett, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought he showed a lot of maturity last night. I was really impressed by that, both on the field, in the post game, the way that he talked during the interviews. You can feel he's already a leader on the team. You just don't expect that out of somebody, in their first year out of high school. You expect like a little more unseriousness, but really impressed with the way he carried himself. He already feels like he can be that dude if he needed to be. It's great for Utah to have a quarterback too that can be counted on in a pinch. I'm still very much Devin Dampier, team Devin Dampier until we're not for what, but it's
we'll talk
really
about that.
Good. Yeah, it's really good to see what Byrd was able to do in his first full start. And I think it was important to Utah, important to Byrd, important to everybody to be able to get that opportunity to see a full game against a real football team. Record, whatever, doesn't matter. There's still a lot of talent on that team. I thought Byrd was awesome last night.
Yeah, I think. With Byrd, what stood out to me was after, he settled in, throwing the ball. I thought he looked like he belonged. He looked like the stage wasn't too big for him. He looked poised. He looked comfortable out there. And I think that was really, really impressive, right? So many times we've seen freshmen come in and they're a deer in the headlights because the game is moving so fast. They're seeing things that they haven't seen because the competition level at the high school, they just don't see complex defenses. And I think don't take that for granted. So regardless of like how he threw the ball, his completion percentage or anything like that, just the fact that he looked as comfortable as he did, like he belonged on the field, I think is a really strong starting point for a true freshman. When we talk about leadership, I think it's important to there are different levels of leadership, right? There's you handling your own 1/11th, as Utah says all the time, right? You're doing your responsibility. You're being a leader in that role. Then there's responsibility where, guys are starting to look to you and you have a stronger voice. And then you are the face of a team, of a program. And I think for Byrd to come in and just play his role, I think was really good. And, he stepped up. He was vocal. He was, energetic and lively and, I don't want to say demonstrative, but that's the word that's coming to mind. But, he was just really engaged and active throughout the night. And I think that was good to see from him as well. There are levels, again, like I said, to his leadership that he's going to go through. And that just comes with maturity and time in the program. These guys get coached up in so many different ways that he'll mature over time and that leadership will blossom. But I think him just handling his business in his first opportunity was a great starting point for him. And so with that kind of gets us into where you were going, Bennett, with the quarterback situation, right? With Devin Dampier, Byrd Ficklin. I know we all agree. This is Devin Dampier's team. He is the quarterback. He is the leader. This is his squad. But what did Byrd Ficklin do to the conversation around the quarterback room with how he performed last night?
This isn't the last you've seen of Byrd Ficklin in meaningful time. And I think that's regardless of if Devin Dampier stays healthy this year or not. I think if Devin Dampier stays healthy for the rest of the year, I think Byrd's played well enough and has shown enough that he will have special packages for him. We saw it in the West Virginia game already.
Yeah.
But I do think last night might have given the coaches maybe even a little bit of confidence to because before it seemed like Byrd came in and it was, quarterback power or some sort of design quarterback run. I don't think that's going to be the issue or the plan now. That's probably going to be a majority of it, but I'd be very surprised if Byrd Ficklin does not come into a game the rest of the year and throw the ball.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think not even and not even like, a designed rollout where he has the option to tuck it and run. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see him take a straight drop back and throw the ball.
Yeah, I think his role certainly expanded with what he proved he's capable of handling. Bennett, you talked about Dampier. This is still his team. How do you think he responds this week after watching what we all watched last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dampier's an absolute competitor. I don't think he's somebody that just watches that from the sideline and doesn't feel like, hey, I'm gonna push. This is gonna motivate me to be that much more and all that stuff. Like, I think this is something like, he's still got that mentality. Like, this is my team, and I think he'll go out and he'll show some of that. I think this is stuff that will push him. It's still very much his team, and that it's to be expected to have these conversations start to poke through. Like in the space last night, there were things that were said that were both valid and a bit maybe jumping the gun a bit, but I think the opportunity to sit back for a night and take all that in, I think Dampier is going to come out more motivated on the other side, because he's going to probably hear some of that noise that people are saying, oh, who do you start next week? And it's like, you got to stay with the guy that got you to this point, and just has a little bit more under his belt. And if that becomes a conversation, because you don't see what you need to out of him, then that can become a legitimate conversation. But for right now, keep all the respect on Devin Dampier's name, because he's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting to see the texts, the tweets, the comments have been flying off the shelves hot and heavy, man, calling for Byrd Ficklin to be the guy moving forward. And, it's interesting because, this Utah fan base watched one of their own guys, not too long ago in the NFL lose his job because of an injury. And that is the golden rule in football, is you don't lose your job to injury. And it's been interesting to see that, knowing, that the GOAT of Utah football, Alex Smith, went through this very thing, however many years ago it was now, with the 49ers when Colin Kaepernick came in and, obviously did a lot, right? Did a lot for the Niners and that. But I remember those days. I remember the comments from Utah fans all defending Alex Smith, that you don't lose your job from an injury. And so it's just been interesting to see the comments, stemming from last night. And I think you're spot on, is keep the respect on Dampier's name. He's done nothing to lose the job other than suffer an injury. And I hope everybody is of the mindset that they want Dampier back at 100%. They don't want him out there if he's not ready to go. And that's part of the conversation as well. But I think more importantly for Utah is this is really beneficial for them moving forward, right? Because of the era that we're now in with NIL, you now have a pretty good sense of what you got with your two quarterbacks. Obviously, you have a much better feel for the starter and Devin Dampier and what he is, but you now have a really good idea of what Ficklin is right now and what he can be. So as we get into the offseason and that stuff, those conversations will continue. But Utah now knows, and it has stuff that they can evaluate with both quarterbacks moving forward. And so I think that's super valuable in this new era, is just having insights on each of these guys when things are live and when things are meaningful and are genuine, right? There's genuine competition. So I think Utah came out really in a really good spot here with the way that Byrd performed regardless.
Yeah. The two things I wanted to think about too is one, seeing Devin Dampier's demeanor on the sideline. As the injured starter, you can be the guy who kind of just is out there like, hanging with the guys or, whatever, and thinking like, whatever, this is his game. I'm coming back next week. He was one of the first guys every single time to Byrd every time he came off the field. Like that's the leadership you want out of your starting quarterback.
Yep.
So it was really, really good to see that out of him. It sucks to sit there on the sideline and watch somebody else play your position, have your starting role for a game. So to still have that demeanor on the sidelines of being that leader that everyone looks to on the team was really encouraging. But the other thing too is I think something that when you talk about NIL, every Utah fan's going to think, oh, we're going to lose him. We're going to lose Ficklin in the offseason. If you followed like his recruiting storyline and seeing how the way that he interacts with guys and the way his dad interacts with people on Twitter, Utah was the one school that believed in him as a quarterback and as a true freshman. They have given him the opportunities to be that guy when it's needed as a true freshman. So like that's going to go a really long way into helping keep him on the team. And obviously there's the typical stuff you can say of, well, even if you're not starting next year, you're still learning the same system. So when you come in as the guy in 2027, like you're going to be multiple steps ahead of where you would be if you bounced and went to a new team and had to learn a brand new offense with, the coaches that you don't know other than a phone call kind of thing. So I think that's really going to help, Utah hang on to Byrd, regardless of how the quarterback situation shakes out.
I hate that we have to talk about hanging on.
I know.
We don't. We like it. There's good things going on there.
Yeah. Two quick things just to close out my thoughts on this. One, Dampier really wanted to play this week.
Yes.
That was a big thing. Like he wanted to play, felt like he could play, and ultimately didn't get the go. But it was good to see Byrd because of this NIL era that we're into, right? There's going to be a point in time where decisions are going to have to be made. There's going to be money that's going to need to be thrown around, and getting that confidence boost in Byrd is going to make it much easier for Utah to say, let's lock him up. Let's keep him here. This is our guy of the future. And, at least that part can be done with the data points we saw last night.
For sure. And I think that's a good point to end on with Byrd Ficklin. And you talked about Wayshawn Parker. You brought him up, and I thought obviously he was fantastic last night. Had the 58-yarder, had another big run of 49 yards. Did you guys know that he's number 8 in the Big 12 in rushing yards right now with 500 even, and only a fraction of the workload up to this point with just 70 carries? So what do you guys think of Wayshawn Parker in the run game? What do you hope to see moving forward from him and Utah and that room?
I think everyone's got valid complaints about Wayshawn not getting a certain amount of carries every week, but we also know he's been a little banged up, and that's kind of just the way that they've been handling him to keep him healthy, to keep him fresh. I think that might have played a little bit into Utah's hands coming down the stretch a bit, where you have a fully healthy RB1, because there are certain other teams in the Big 12 conference that don't have that anymore. Yep. So I think, we don't talk about silver lining maybe of his shoulder getting a little banged up is he's going to be a lot more fresh and have a lot less tread on the tires going into the end of the year. I think if he stays fully healthy, I think everyone should hopefully expect him to get anywhere between 15 to 18 carries a game. I think that's a really good number for him. But he showed he can break off big runs at any moment. So I think that's, he's got to be the guy that you kind of rely on, in that run game. I don't want to see, even last night, Byrd Ficklin had 20 rushes. He had the most carries on the team. You don't want your quarterback having that many runs. Yeah. And then obviously, throw in Devin and his the injury woes that he's had this year. So Utah's a run first team. They're always going to be a run first team as long as Whittingham is at the helm. So a fully healthy, explosive starting running back is going to be big down the line. And
Ben,
obviously, I think Wayshawn's that guy.
Yeah, it was good to see him all smiles after the game. He was definitely happy in the post game presser. He said he felt like he had been failing the team, which I thought was interesting because I wouldn't say that he's been failing the team. He's hadn't had the opportunity to really show up in the way that a lot of people believe he's capable of showing up on the stat sheet. So for him to get his first hit the 100-yard mark for the first time this season, that was awesome to see for the kid. And he was able to hit some of those home runs. He's had many instances this season where he's broke off, the 15, 20s, which are nice, really nice chunks. But to get the home run hit, look forward to seeing some more of that in the season as the season wears on. And with him being healthy and all that, would like to see more touches going forward. He's been very efficient with his touches this season. That shows up where you said he's 8th in the Big 12 with a fraction of the touches. He was like 4th in yards per carry, and that he probably inched closer to the top with the outing he had last night. So I thought he had an awesome game, and we'd been waiting for that. And I think he had too. So
yeah.
I wish I could ask him about a specific play last night, because he was this close to breaking off another 50-plus yard touchdown run. I think it was in the third. And I know he knew it too. He had a run to the left side where he hit the hole pretty hard, and I think he just tripped. He caught his foot on somebody going through the hole, and it tripped him up, and he went down, and there was nobody on that side of the field in front of him, and the whistle blew dead, and he immediately started pounding his fist into the ground. Like, he was that close to busting out another 50-yard touchdown run. So
for him,
Oh,
I was just going to say, for him, to break that triple-digit mark was really important for him, and he talked about that in the post-game press conference, just how much that meant to finally sort of get that, off of his back, right? To get that number, to hit that mark. Was a big one. And so he's gaining confidence, and he's still really healthy. And I think, Tyson, you brought up the point that he's been managing, or Utah's been managing. I hate that there's this sort of assumption that guys are either healthy or they're injured, and there's nothing in between. And it's not that simple, right? These guys are battling through things, and the more hits you take, the worse things get, and so that's the thing, is you're trying to manage his workload to prevent that shoulder from getting worse. So I think Utah did a great job of limiting his touches, as frustrating as it was, seeing his potential and big play potential and not feeding him more touches. But I think Utah played it right, because now you're getting into November with a running back that only has 70 carries on the year. He's 3rd in the Big 12 in yards per carry, and he is, gaining confidence coming off of this performance. And you look at some of the programs, some of the teams on the schedule remaining not the toughest against the run. And so there's a real bright opportunity for Wayshawn to finish this season, with a pretty emphatic point of emphasis here for him in Utah. So like the way that's trending, and with the emergence of Daniel Bray and Nakari Rogers just continuing to kind of be that inside, jab, and Bray adding that element, it just makes this run game so difficult to defend, and I think that's going to be really beneficial for Utah. So we already kind of talked on. We'll switch gears here, but I think that, unless you guys had any other thoughts on Wayshawn, but I think that sort of sums it up. I want to get your thoughts on the defensive performance real quick. We've talked so much offense because that defensive performance was something else. It was Morgan Scally in his bag, and I pulled up the PFF numbers. They had a pressure rate of 71% on Caden Salter. We remember what Nico Iamaliava, how impressive that number was. What was that, 60%? 71% for Caden Salter. Utah blitzed blitzed 74% of the time against Caden Salter. Just Morgan Scally was letting the dogs eat against Colorado. What did you guys love? What did you guys think of the game plan and just your thoughts on the defensive performance last night?
I think too, after the game, Caden Salter said that they threw blitzes at him that did not show up one time on film study coming into that game. So like you said, Morgan was in his bag. Record doesn't show Colorado as being, uber good, but they just beat Iowa State the game before this. They had 400 yards of offense. They're a decent football team, but I mean they've put up numbers on a lot of other teams, and Utah just basically pushed their head in the sand and said, "No, you don't get any of that." I was really impressed with not just the tackling, but the pursuit angles that a lot of the guys had, especially the safeties and the linebackers, because there were a couple times where there were swing passes or stuff out to the flats where there was a Utah guy right on the receiver immediately, and they had no chance to make any type of move. They were already getting their legs taken out from underneath them. And then we did that all without Lander Barton in the whole first
half.
Shout out to Trey Reynolds for filling in that role very, very, very well.
Yeah, so well that some people want him to start over Lander now.
God, that was so
wrong with you people.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was shout out Trey. He did awesome.
He balled out.
It speaks to the depth, and for on his that sack that he had to early in the game, just an absolute missile into the backfield. It was But that was funny. I'm glad you made that joke.
Yeah. No, and look, it's not to make fun of the take. Trey played great, but we don't need to extrapolate from this sample size because this game plan was so unique. You're not going to do this on a week in, week out basis. Morgan Scally is aggressive, but he is no Brian Flores with the blitz button. He is not that guy. And so I want to add some context here, just to kind of give an idea of Colorado's offense and what they've been able to do this season and just how impressive last night actually was. Started the season against Georgia Tech, who is now the number 8 team in the country. They put up 305 yards, which included, I think, the first quarter where they started multiple possessions in Georgia Tech territory because Georgia Tech was turning it over. I think they turned it over 3 times in the first quarter. So anyways, 305 yards against Georgia Tech, 398 against Delaware, 300 against Houston, 497 against Wyoming, 291 against BYU, 343 against TCU, 395 against Iowa State, and then there's Utah, limiting them to 140 on the game. So just to kind of give you context there, right? Obviously, they're not a juggernaut offense. This is not the Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter show like it was last year. But I think this Colorado team, like we talked about all last week, they're playing greater complementary football, which is what they were not doing last year. And they've been competitive. They've been in a lot of tight games, multiple one-score losses. So this Colorado team, it is competitive. And again, I think Morgan Scally just came in with a great game plan that caught, Colorado with their pants down, and they just dominated. So, any final thoughts on the defense? Any other individuals that deserve a shout out? Jonathan Hall probably deserves a whole episode for the way he performed last night. He was a man possessed.
Did you happen to pull how many pressures Jordan Seaton allowed last night?
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick.
The guy who brought his own boombox to warm-ups?
Yeah.
While you're pulling that up and we're talking about defensive guys, Bartle and I were standing right there, and Warren Sapp kept kicking that pylon over, and it was just funny. I was like, he kicked it over, and I was like, should I go pick it up?
Does he know that Coach Prime is the one that picks up the pylons when it's not somebody from the stadium staff? Have you guys seen that video?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he probably has no idea. But yeah. Anyways, all right. So Jordan Seaton came into the game with only one pressure allowed all season. No sacks, no QB hits, just one hurry all season long. He had a PFF grade of like 91 something coming into the game. Against John Henry Daly, he gave up 3 pressures, which included a sack and 2 hurries. So, pretty good night for John Henry Daly. I think he helped himself earn some money because, again, Jordan Seaton playing the way that he had coming into that game, for John Henry Daly to put up even that, right? 3 pressures, a sack and two hurries, I think is really, really impressive given the way Seaton had been performing. So great stuff there. Logan Fano, 7 pressures and a sack. He was getting after it on the other side. And yeah, just Utah defense was just getting after it. All right. Enough of the game. Let's talk November because I think it all starts this week. We'll talk about a little bit about Cincinnati, but what did this win do, and how does this sort of change the picture and the conversation for Utah as we go into the month of November, the home stretch for the Big 12 title race?
Listen, you want to talk about style points like that very clearly in the past have come into play when it comes to postseason considerations. Outside of Devin Dampier being hobbled against Texas Tech and the coaching blunders against BYU last week, Utah is just steamrolling teams, like absolutely steamrolling teams. Like if you want to point to anything, like I don't understand how people could have just gotten so down on the team after last week when we have seen what this team does to everybody else that they've played. It's a rivalry game. It's always going to be close. So it came down to certain things, and certain things didn't go Utah's way. But they are absolutely just destroying teams. So you keep that up for the rest of the year. Let the chips fall where they may when it comes to the Big 12 championship game. But I mean, if you keep destroying everybody every week and you finish 10-2, I don't know, stuff could happen.
You've helped yourself a lot, yeah, for sure. Ben, I want to ask you, how important is this weekend against Cincinnati? All of everything, context around the game, ESPN College Game Day, coming to Salt Lake City again. How important is this game this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it was important as the Colorado game at the time. It'll be as important, if Utah beats Cincinnati, it'll be as important as the next game. It's kind of every week is important in and of itself. So don't want to, ignore that fact. It's very much a week by week basis right now. But this game has a lot more just with the big stage once again. It feels like Utah now has this monkey on its back that it needs to get off its back, because in these big noon kickoffs, college game day moments, I think Utah's like 2-9 or 3-9 or something like that. Not good is what it is. And this is a moment to once again get the spotlight, capitalize on the spotlight, get a big win, dismiss that question of, Utah just beats up on bad teams. Cincinnati's a good team. They've lost one game all season. It was in week 1. They lost by 3 points on a neutral site field, but it's Arrowhead. That's a lot closer for Nebraska. Pretty sure.
Yes.
They had the Chiefs quarterback too.
Yeah,
come on, dog. Come on.
Yeah, and it's it's a big one. This would put Utah right back into the mix of things. And, the win over Colorado afforded Utah to play football into the month of November. And this win will allow them to just get back to that every week matters, take it 1 week at a time, and get that rank win, get that big win, get that respect on a national scale.
Yeah, this is a big one. And in Cincinnati, to their credit, they are the surprise of the Big 12 this season. And as we learned last year, the surprise can go all the way with Arizona State, going to the Big 12 title game in the college football playoff. And I think Cincinnati catching everybody by surprise. We're now to that point where, all right, it's time to start taking these guys as serious as they need to be taken. And you lose one game in the opening week and you rip off 7 straight wins. That's super impressive. Brendan Sorsby is the quarterback for them. I liked him based off of, how he played last year. I just felt like Cincinnati didn't have the pieces around him to really maximize his potential. And I feel this year they've really added some nice pieces at the skill positions, the receiver, the running backs that they've got there. And this has become a really balanced attack. And Sorsby has elevated his game. He's got a 19-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's making good decisions. And he's making great plays in crunch time. And I think that's been really impressive as well. So this is going to be a tough one. And Cincinnati is, they were kind of viewed as the plucky underdog, right? Just a couple weeks ago now. But now that we're here into week 9, they're 7-1. They're ranked number 17. This is a serious opponent. And it's a big opportunity for Utah that they need to, again, match the same sort of energy and effort level that they had against Colorado last night. I think that's going to be really, really important for Utah in this one. This is a must win, right? If you don't get this one, like throw any talk of November and what the implications are out the window. So this is a must win for Utah in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Every week's a playoff from here on out.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
One thing I'm interested in is to see if the Utah coaching staff approaches this game and the prep for this game differently than they did Texas Tech and BYU and maybe some other games in the past, like the Oregon game in 2023 when game day was here last. If maybe they make it a little more business-like approach to everything, they block out the noise. Really get the team focused and motivated. Like, don't worry about any of the other things. Like, this is the type of football we play. This is what we concentrate on. We don't need any of the extra pageantry. That's just, a side gig basically, or a sideshow. So I'd be interested to know if the Utah staff approaches this prep and getting the team ready and motivated a little differently than they have in the last 2 big games that Utah's had this year.
And fortunately, Utah's been through two games with this sort of stage, right? They've been through it now, and they've come up short each time. And obviously, there's context to consider with that Texas Tech week and Devin Dampier missing 2 practices. But you now know what you have a really good idea of what you are and what buttons you need to press as coaches. And I think that's going to be really, really important for Utah to press those right buttons this week, to your point, Tyson, because this is, again, like we said, a must win, just as every game is on the schedule the rest of the way. But this is a big one. You got to get this one to validate, sort of what you've done everywhere else this season, beating up on these other teams. This is the one that you have to have. Anything else? I'm sorry.
need to win a big game.
Yeah.
Tyson was saying, Utah's absolutely steamrolling teams. If Utah steamrolls, you take the win any way you can get it. Don't get me wrong against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But if Utah goes out and beats Cincinnati by 20 or more points, like it's just like, all right, let the chips fall where they may. Because that's how, if Utah does go 10-2 and misses out on Arlington, things could happen for a 10-2 team that, absolutely smokes some of the teams on their schedule.
Yeah. So
that's the thing too. You got to let the chips fall where they may. Like Utah's needed stuff to happen in the the 11th hour in 2022 to make the Pac-12 championship game. It's not a far-fetched thing to think just win the games that are in front of you. That's all you can do, and hope other stuff works out.
Yeah,
because it can, sure. And it's fairly plausible that it could.
Yeah,
like you're not expecting. It's not like you need West Virginia to beat Texas Tech.
Yeah,
for Utah to have a shot at this, like.
You don't need Oregon
needs to happen
State to rally back against Oregon, right? Yeah,
You don't
need that.
the most interesting team to keep an eye to in regard to all these tiebreakers and stuff is TCU. I just want to highlight that real quick. They play Houston as well, just because they have a really soft schedule. But TCU, after they play Iowa State, they have a game against BYU, a game against Houston, and a game against Cincinnati. And all three of those teams I just named are going to be teams that are going to get into that tiebreaker scenario. So TCU's like, I have them as like the holder of chaos in all of this.
Interesting. Yeah.
Frog up, or whatever they say. Let's frog up. Hypno frog.
Hypno frog.
Got that frog in him.
Got that frog.
We'll hold off on the tiebreaker scenario episode. We'll hold that off till after this weekend. But this is a big weekend for Utah, and I want to make this point too. Like, I know there's a lot of angst about ESPN College Game Day coming to Salt Lake City. Look, we're to the point. 2 losses on the season. Just enjoy it. Enjoy yourselves. Embrace the opportunity that ESPN College Game Day is coming to Salt Lake City. Embrace it. Love it. Have fun with it. And, again, Utah has been through this already twice this season. And, we'll learn a lot about them this weekend and how they handle business this week against Cincinnati. But for the fans, just embrace this opportunity and don't shy away from it. Just embrace it. Have fun with it, right? This is college football. You don't get too many weeks out of the year to enjoy college football. So just embrace it and have fun with it. So we'll wrap it up on that note. I'll have the daily episodes. We'll get the Whittingham press conference tomorrow. We'll be back with a live episode Thursday night, and we'll do a game preview later on in the week as well. Looking forward to diving into more of this with Cincinnati and the Bearcats and just sort of how they're performing this year and diving into that. So appreciate everybody for the support of the Utah Blockcast. It means a lot. So for myself, for Bennett, for Tyson, we'll be signing off.